You and Sarah rush through the doors as Rachel screams, her cries abruptly cut off as the stone doors slam shut. Though you can still hear a faint grinding coming from behind you. At the beginning, there were 5, but now it was just you and Sarah. You catch your breath and try to get your bearings. You don't know how you or your friends found the cave. You've been camping in this area dozens of times. But I guess this time your hikes had taken you farther than you'd thought. It was Katie that first discovered the cave. It seemed pretty cool, and why not? You had all the right gear, so why not scout it out a little? Then you found a doorway, and you went through. It was a small room, with 5 closed stone doors on the far side, and a single stone pedestal in the middle. That's where you found the rings, and when you realized you were trapped. You weren't going to touch the rings at first. They looked old, maybe a valuable find, but then someone, Harry maybe, noticed that the door you had entered was blocked. There was no handle, just a slab of rock. Rachel figured it must have come down from above the doorframe, and that's when everybody really freaked out. Harry tried his phone. Nothing, no signal, no GPS. Sarah even set up the satellite phone. The phone, for just this kind of an emergency. Only to have it fail as well. Out of options, you decide to go check out the pedestal again. There were 5 rings, and you know what to do now. 5 people. Sitting just above the rings was an inscription. The one with the strongest destiny shall claim the prize. That part was kind of exciting as well. It seemed kind of like your moment. You hadn't done much else with your life. That degree in psych hadn't got you very far, had it? Maybe you had the strongest destiny. You never really stood out much, didn't have any major talents or qualities. But it's the inside that counts, isn't it? And you've got that in spades. That was what you were thinking before Katie died anyway. As each of you slid a ring on your finger, they started to glow, each glow a slightly different color. You thought yours seemed to glow a little brighter than the others, but you kept that to yourself. Each of the 5 rings shone towards the door at the far end of the room. 5 rings, 5 doors. Without any other choice, you went through. Everyone was starting to get excited, then the door slammed shut again. In this room, there were only 4 doors. Uh-oh. The ring started to glow again, but for some reason, Katie's went dark. That's when the floor started to shake. The cave floor was receding, pulling away from the entrance of the room, and towards the 4 doors on the far end. A quick glimpse over the edge sent you running for your door. Over that edge was a black pit that would fill the room in less than a minute. You, Sarah, and Rachel rushed through the doors, while Katie followed closely behind Harry, hoping to get through the door with him. There were a couple after all. Harry stepped through just as the floor under Katie's feet disappeared. He had her arm. He was going to pull her up, and the stone door slammed shut down on Katie's forearm with a sickening crack. Her trapped arm was the only thing keeping her from falling into the darkness. But everyone's doors were completely shut now, except for Harry's. There was no way to save her, or even see her, except for her twitching arm. Attached to that arm was a hand, and on that hand was a ring that didn't shine. Harry was screaming into the tiny opening. Katie wasn't responding, and the door was still trying to shut. Eventually it did. You were now in a room with 3 doors. Things followed a similar pattern after that. Harry's ring went out, not that he cared anymore. You rushed through your door as the room filled with beetles, covering anything without a light source. Rachel and Sarah tried to pull him away from the door, from the arm, but eventually, all that was left of Harry was a crawling, heaving mass. He didn't even scream. You had made it though, and as scared as you were, something was stirring in the back of your mind. You were really starting to feel lucky, the one with the strongest destiny. Then came the room with 2 doors. That was just now. Rachel's light went out. She started to cry, but calmly turned and said goodbye. That you'd always been good friends. Sarah was screaming at her not to give up, but you didn't want to stick around to find out what was going to go wrong. As you ran through the door, you noticed that the ceiling had gotten lower. And now, here you are. 1 door left. This is it. Your whole life building up to this. Validation. You don't have the fanciest job, the best degree. You aren't the most popular, the most successful. but you are going to survive. It is your destiny, the strongest destiny. Then you look at your ring, and the light has gone out. Sarah! No, it can't be. It's impossible. Why her? Why her? How can she? How dare she? That ring is mine. Give it to me. It's my destiny. As Sarah turns, she sees your rage. Her eyes widen in shock as you scream for what is rightfully yours. Your fist flashes out and knocks her to the ground. She scrambles away as you move closer. She's crying, begging you to stop. You don't hear it. It's about your life, your destiny. Nothing else matters. As you're about to take that final step, you're right on top of her. A stone hand grips your ankle. You fall painfully, and 2 more hands grab your wrists, trapping you. Sarah's getting away. She's almost at the door. More hands grab your leg, your neck, your ribs, your eyes. Their grips are getting tighter. You can't see. The pain is unbearable. Then you hear the stone door slam shut. And with that sound, you realize that you're not the main character. You're not special. You'll die right here in this room. The world will go on without you. As your senses begin to fade, you have one last thought. What about